He's the man of the hour. He's Greg Olsen, Fox NFL analyst for the second straight year. DiGiorno is giving fans a chance to win free pizza. The kicker doinks at any point in the Super Bowl. Kevin and Greg will team up with DiGiorno to celebrate the all-pro combo of pizza and football and discuss the big game's unpredictable outcomes. And for more on this, special discounts. To enter for a chance to win, go to DiGiornoDoinks.com. Greg Olsen joining us on the program. Greg, good to have you back. Let me go back to the fourth down call by the Lions. And you said they disguised their coverage. The Niners disguised their coverage on Jared Goff. When do you realize this and how that's going to affect the play and what you're going to say on TV?
Yeah, so what happened was, what a lot of teams do is they use their backs to their tight ends and they put them in unconventional formations where maybe they're outside the receiver or they're in the slot and they want to get tells. So what happened there early, and when we came back and showed the replay, is Dre Greenlaw was walked on Jahmyr Gibbs. He was the furthest receiver out to the right. So that was the man tell for Jared Goff. So you see Goff, he brings Gibbs in from being out wide to put him back in the backfield next to him in the gun. And then Goff gives the hand signal or the check or whatever the play is going to be. So you'll see Greenlaw comes back in with him. So it looks, again, that's a man tell, a lot of the times. And give credit to San Francisco and Wilkes. They ended up just zoning it out. They ended up just shelling it out. And they're running mesh, which is like guys crossing each other, like running shallow drags, trying to run interference and run their mans and, run their man coverage into each other. And they were running a man type concept against what ended up looking like man, but playing like zone. And that's why Goff had nowhere to go early. He tried to flush and get it late down the field to Amon-Ra St. Brown and was just off balance and didn't get enough on it. So those are critical moments in the game, right? That's the chess match back and forth, pre-snap tells, post-snap tells. And in that critical moment, San Francisco got the stop they needed.
Yeah, and you did a great job in seeing it and saying it because you got to do it quickly. Play happens. Now, what happened? Do you watch on the monitor or do you watch onto the field?
Yeah, so my process is, I have two monitors. So I have my telestrator, which is like the production. That's what everyone sees on their TV at home, right? I have no bearing on that. That is just a copy of whatever's being broadcast into the homes. I have a Sky Cam, which is like, the cable cam behind the quarterback. So I have that monitor and then I have an all 22, but those are all on delays. So they're on about a 4-second delay from what's actually happening on the field. So I watch it live on the field, which in essence is like an all 22, like, from above. And then I see it. And then by the time Kevin is done with his call, I can then either go to the all 22 or the Sky based on what I want to see. And then I can either confirm, I can finalize numbers, make sure what I saw live is actually what I see. And then by the time it's on my telestrator, by the time it's, Kevin is done and I got to jump in to talk, I have a pretty good sense. I saw it live. I saw it on a quick little 4-second delay. So I'm pretty certain that what I'm going to say is what happened, and doesn't always play out that way, but that's the method that I've developed in the booth the last couple of years. And it's helped me just make sure what I say I'm confident is what really happened.
And players will talk about the game slows down when you play the game. Like after a couple of years, you eventually see it differently. Quarterbacks talk about it. It slows down a little bit. As a broadcaster, did it slow down for you where it became easier?
Oh, absolutely. In my first year, I think I always joke now with our producer, Z. I always say, like, when I first started doing this, I only had like a couple camera angles, and it was probably for the best. They probably had more. They just didn't want to overwhelm me. So my replays were, behind the defense, behind the offense, every once in a while an all 22, like from above, or just like an ISO shot. It's just, all right, it's going to be on, CeeDee Lamb, or it's going to be on, whoever. That was it. And I would just do my telestrations and but then as I kept going, I realized, oh my God, there's a million more cameras, and you just get more comfortable. You get more fluid. Hey, whatever they throw up on the telestrator, it's not going to catch me off guard anymore. But watching the plays unfold on the field was always very natural to me. I'll tell you the biggest transition, Dan, that I had was, for my whole career watching game film, I would always watch it from behind the offense. So that was my perspective of seeing NFL football forever. And now we sometimes do it from behind the defense. They call it pit, or you do it from like a corner sideline where, so you want to talk about the left guard, but now you're doing it from behind the defense. So he's actually on the right. And, so like little things like that, I had to like retrain my brain that, okay, for 14 years, you watched film like this. Well, this isn't film. This is live television, and we're not going to just show the same camera angle for 3 hours every weekend. So little things like that you get better at. And, my team spent a lot of time with me, helping me progress through a lot of those things early on.
Let's look at the Lions' calls with fourth down. Did you agree with the calls and the plays that were called? Because sometimes you can call the right play, but it doesn't turn out well. But I'm curious, from your perspective now, 3 days later, did they make the right calls on those fourth down?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I think going for it was the right move for multiple reasons. And I know this has been like the hot button topic now since the game ended. And we said it very early in the game, right? There's a way to be aggressive in the NFL. There's two ways. You can be aggressive in your play calling, which we didn't think was what they were going to do. I don't think Detroit wanted to come out and throw the ball 50 times and throw it downfield and hold the ball and let that rush. And I think that plays into the teeth of this San Francisco defense. So they ran the ball. We said, hey, lean on your run game, run the ball. And they did in the first half, especially. But you can be aggressive in your game strategy, in your game management, right? And that's where Dan Campbell has, no one's run more fake punts, no one's converted more, no one's attempted more fourth downs or converted more. That's been his style since he took over 3 years ago, trying to build this winning culture there. So when you're in a game like that against San Francisco, the best part of your team, if you're Detroit, is your offense. So if you're going to put the burden, if it's a coin flip decision, or if I'm Dan Campbell, I don't blame him for always putting the load on his offense. It's the best unit of the team. They scored 31 points and lost. Yeah. The notion that more conservative game management was the answer to score more points, that's just not how the NFL works. So the notion of, hey, just take the points. There's no take the points on 48-yard field goals. These are not gimme chip shots. So I think that's where people lose. It's like, hey, 48-yarder, just tie the game up. Well, last year in the Super Bowl, we watched Harrison Buckner on 4th and 3 in the first quarter. Hey, San Francisco, it's 7-7. Kansas City, go take the lead early, get the lead. And he doinked it off the left crossbar. He's the best kicker in the league. They thought they were taking the points on 4th and 3, and they scored. So, that's the narrative we have to stop. When the kicker misses it, it's the kicker. When they go for it and they don't make it, it's the coach.
We're talking to Greg Olsen, NFL on Fox analyst, joining us courtesy of DiGiorno. For more on what he's doing, DiGiornoDoinks.com. Since you played the position, how would you defend Travis Kelce if you're the 49ers, whether it's their safety or their linebackers? What does he do, and how do you stop what he's doing from your perspective?
Man, it's hard. What he's doing is unprecedented. And, I've been on record calling his games and said it on broadcast, and I think I never thought anyone would ever catch Tony Gonzalez. From a production standpoint, from a longevity of his career, and what he was able to do was pretty remarkable when you saw Tony compared to the 2, 3, 4 guys as far as production and what he was able to accomplish over a long time. I think Kelce's either arrived already or he's nipping at his heels, because he should have had 8,000-yard seasons in a row. He didn't play in the last game. I think he needed 15 yards. So in essence, he was going to get it. It wasn't that big of a deal to him. His playoff records, when you're breaking Jerry Rice's records, you're entering a new stratosphere of production in the postseason. But as far as stopping him, I don't know if you're ever going to completely shut him down. I do think the challenge of Kelce is he's not running conventional routes that you can really prepare for. It's not, hey, he's going to run 14 yards and hook a left and he's going to catch this ball 2 yards outside the hash mark. So on your zone drops, drop there, right? You're not, because if you drop there, he's going to stop his route and end somewhere else. He's playing improv, in the moment, real-time decision route running, and Mahomes sees it the exact same way. So it's very hard. So how I would defend him, I think you got to get on him. I think the more space he has to run and weave and find feel, him and Mahomes are just playing at a different level than maybe anybody ever. So I think you got to get on him. I think you got to reroute him. I think you've got to be at the line of scrimmage, getting them with people behind you to help. I don't think this is like, hey, one zone coverage, one concept, one player. This is a group effort, and you have to be really good in critical downs because when it matters the most, Mahomes is throwing him the ball. So you better have an answer for him, and very few teams have.
Given your situation at Fox now as a broadcaster, what do you want to do moving forward?
I want to call top games. Dan, I feel, 2 years ago when everything unfolded and, obviously I've known Tom was coming for, over, 2 years, year and a half, whatever you want to call it. And, that part of it, we always knew. It was a matter of when. We didn't know exactly when the timeline. Ended up not coming this past season, which gave me a second year with Kevin in the booth with the A team. But, going forward, my goals haven't changed. My goals when I started out calling games with Fox, 3 years ago, was I aspired to be a top broadcaster. I really thought I could do it. I thought if given the opportunity and the chance, I could show people that I could do it. And I got the opportunity, and Fox was kind enough to give me that. And I think over the last 2 years, we've really changed the narrative. I think we've changed where, hey, this is just a placeholder. This is a guy, to being like, no, this guy can do it. So my goals and aspirations, if anything, have even gotten more committed to, I want to call top games. I want to call games in front of 57 million people and dive into the biggest moments and why it's happening. And I feel like we've done as good a job as that as anybody in the industry over the last couple of seasons. And where that is, how that is, when that is, I don't know, right? There's so many moving parts out of my control, but my goal is to be a top A broadcaster again. And I'm going to do everything in my power to achieve that. And that's been the goal that I've laid out since I entered this field upon retirement 3 years ago.
Would you ask for a trade?
I'm not really in the business of making demands. I'm not sitting here holding anyone's feet to the fire. Fox understands the position I'm in. They understand what my aspirations are. And, we're not sitting there banging the table and saying, you have to let us, we're not in that. We're not doing that. We understand what we signed up for. They understand where I am and being at this stage of my career of where I want to go. And I think we understand the delicate situation that we're in, right? I understand when Tom Brady's looming over your shoulder, it's the biggest news in sports. I get it. He's Tom Brady. He's someone I've respected for 20 years. So I understand the uniqueness of what's going on. And I feel like we've handled it as well as we could for the last 2 years. And if I can get another opportunity to call top games at Fox or somewhere else, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
If I put you and Brady in the octagon and the winner gets to call the top games on Fox,
that'd be quite the pay-per-view. I think Tom stays in better shape. I think he works out more than I have. My men's tennis clinics on Wednesday night. I don't think had me quite in fighting shape, and I'm not fighting Tom Brady. That's a losing battle. You're probably not going to win.
Give me the plug that you and Kevin are working on before we say goodbye.
Well, we talked about it earlier with the doink from last year. So again, for the second year, DiGiorno's got this fun program where if one of the kickers doinks the ball, so for those who don't know, doink is like the ball hits the upright, the crossbar, and makes the doink noise, which there was one last year. The Chiefs kicker, Harrison Buckner, which again was 4th and 3, and he doinked it. So we can leave that there. If you register, you go to DiGiorno Doinks, register, you enter. If there's a doink in the Super Bowl, you get a chance to win free pizza. And football, the Super Bowl, win free pizza. It's a win for everybody, but the kicker, I guess.
You did a great job, and you're doing a great job answering these questions. I know that you're getting the same ones over and over, and everybody thinks there's going to be a different answer. So good luck with this, and there's no shame in if you're calling, the second best games on Fox. I mean, you're still doing it for a living, and that's really important. But wanting to be better, greater, that's the important part. That game should not mean less because it's not as important as, the marquee game. So good luck with that as you move forward, and you and Kevin certainly made a wonderful team. Thank you, Greg.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
That's Greg Olsen, NFL and Fox analyst, former tight end, went to 3 Pro Bowls, and first-round pick by the Panthers.